Hello and welcome to this artist talk conversation with Russian interdisciplinary artist Maria Agureeva. Part of her recently ended residency in Milan at Viafarini residency program. Her stay has been made possible thanks to the exchange agreement between Viafarini and Winzavood Art Center in Moscow, and in collaboration with the Istituto Italiano di Cultura di Mosca, that I want to thank. I will introduce my artist, Maria Agureeva, graduated from St. Petersburg State University of Technology and Design and from Institute of Contemporary Art in Moscow in 2015. Maria Agureeva is winner of grant of Ruinart Art Patronat in 2019 and Trust for Mutual Understanding in 2018, and the nominee of the Kandinsky Art Prize in 2013. The artist works with installations, videos, performances, and sculptures. Agureeva lives and works in Los Angeles. I'm happy to introduce Rebekka Elisabeth Anker-Møller, independent curator with a curatorial practice concerned with the new media, biomimicry, social structures, gender, and performativity. She holds an MA in visual culture from Copenhagen University and an international MA in curation from Aarhus University in Denmark. Thank you, Rebekka, for being with us. And I thank also Caterina Angelucci, graduated at the Università Cattolica del Sacro Cuore in Milan. She's curator, co-founder of Lido Contemporaneo Initiative and curator of Lido La Fortuna residency program in Fano, Central Italy, and contributor of Arts Life magazine since 2018. I want to start this conversation with Maria from a general invitation to share your practice and your statement, but also with specific regards to the fact that you split your time, the time of your life between Moscow and Los Angeles, two very different cities, to say the least. And since you moved to the US, you started to explore more the relationship, the relationship between the human body and the body of nature. So in the light of your practice in general, I would like you to tell us something more about the reasons for this shift in your practice, Maria. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Giulio, for organizing this artist talk. I really appreciate it. And I would like to start by saying a few words about my practice. In my works, I explore the relationship between the body of nature and the global body of humanity, the interaction and the search for a balance between sometimes fragile and sometimes destructive nature and humanity. I started working on this research after moving to Los Angeles. My work floor is greatly influenced by where I am. I worked in Moscow until 2018 with social norms of cliché, attractiveness, the inherent conflict between natural traits and our looks and imposed artificial standards, feminism, a specific attitudes to female body and self-design, specifically because these issues are still complicated and controversial. In Moscow, the situation is changing from year to year, but so slowly in my liking, and only in big cities, particularly at the Russian political vector doesn't really support such changes. When I moved to Los Angeles, it influenced my practice. I can definitely say that this radically changed my outlook on what I do. For someone who had from Moscow, I mean myself, this close interaction between wildlife and humans couldn't have made a strong impression. I can say that my practice got split into two periods, before 2018 and after it. And if you don't mind, I would like to share my presentation.
Yes, please.
When we will speak, I will show some of my works. Yeah. You can ask another question. I'm finished to answer.
Of course. Thank you. Talking more specifically, another questions I would like to raise, talking more specifically about your life in Los Angeles, because Los Angeles is one of those places inherently linked with the projections of desire and the social pressure on the appearance of the body. So which kind of stimuli this city gives you, and how you react with the social body, the social fabric of the city itself, and its contradictions?
It's really interesting question. I'm often asked, even Americans themselves notice now and then that LA is very focused on the body and social pressure. However, for some reason, I can't say that I feel it. On the contrary, I believe that in LA, a person can be true to themselves and free, not adapt to social norms. I've got a completely different vibe of the city. I supposed to focus on my perception is different, as I have a reference to compare it with. I came from Moscow, where people experience serious pressure from society when it comes to their personal boundaries. I spoke with, I had a really interesting conversation with one of the artists. She came to LA from New York, and she saw the city very unlike its residents who had lived there for a long time. She and I had a long conversation about the city's vegetation and national parks.
Of course, because the interplay between the artificial and the natural is a key part of your practice. So I can totally see this connection. You said that you consider art a great way of learning about yourself. So do you consider your practice as a learning environment? Do you think it can be conceived like this? And do you have experience also of collaboration with other fields of research in a city such as stimulating as LA?
I think it's an education process. Art is a wonderful key to understanding things that are of interest to the world. In general, it destroys the boundaries we put ourselves within. Art, and I think art makes us conscious. For me, it is a wonderful transformational path, and I hope it is the same for those I share what I do with. When I work on a project for a long time, I learn something new. It's the natural way for me to change my opinion of some account, and it's changed me, of course. I believe that this opportunity of continuous changes is the most important and precious thing in my profession for me. I will start another video.
Yeah.
If you asked about collaboration with another fields, if you mean something like scientists or science, then no. But I leave it open maybe someday, and I'm really enjoying collaborating with the musician. I have a serious project where I used live sound art. There will be a project where I will invite a perfumer.
Yeah.
It will be first time when I will work with scents. I would like to show some of picture of my performance where I have a collaboration with the musician for first time. I won a prize from Ruinart. It's a champagne house. They support art, and I was able to create my new performance, Passing. My performance was created at the intersection of different art forms: installation, performance, and video documentation. I used 4 screens that surrounded me. It was like a trap, and 4 video cameras that displayed the process taking place during the performance real time, as well as some live sound background. Passing is an artistic description of how a person perceives their own body. It's conflicting images, traces, and prints. It's feeling and effects. I
Can we
made
see some more pictures also of this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I made the cast of my body. I don't remember exactly. I think it was a knee. I made it from fast setting plastic. That cast is the symbols of the body as it is. It is being adjusted, enhanced, and brought into line with generally accepted stereotypes about ideal body shape to perfect the cast which represents the body. I intentionally greened it to dust. It completely disappeared. And depriving it of any original connection of reference with the human body. My work is an alarming warning of to the world, where the desire of aestheticize one's body in strict adherence to some imaginary ideals results in a person passing.
Okay, thank you for sharing this this documentation about the performance. I think this work that you showed us, it's a perfect key element to understand how your research takes different shapes, of course, between sculpture, installation, performance, with a specific stress and performance, and also video. How you choose the materials and how you put them in dialogue, and what's the process? Is the media chosen according to the idea of the work or the other way around?
Thanks for the question. Indeed, I often turn from one media to another, but lately I've concerned on video installation and sculpture, it takes for me it takes time to choose materials for my sculpture. I need to know where they come from and what their history is. As a rule, I collect materials myself, but sometimes my friends bring me some stones, shells, or beautiful pieces of wood. For instance, for these works, my friend gave me some hair that had been left from her own installation. I would like to speak a little bit about that work because it's one of the important work in the series. Name of the work, Amber of the Future. I use aluminum elements which are direct references to aluminum fragments of melted cars, billboards, and house frames after left behind after wildfires. The hot solution of metal and plastic enshroud everything on its path and becomes the amber of the future, which artifacts of nature and traces of the Anthropocene era stuck and stored within. I treat natural materials as living objects. I do not change the founded objects in any way, as their history is important to me. In my artworks, I combine natural and synthetic materials. Contrasting materials interact with each other, and in the end, natural materials become more vivid. I found many of the elements which I use for my sculpture in Southern California, in national parks that had been affected by annual wildfires. Burn marks, which you can see here in my sculpture. It's like scars on human body, which keeps their personal history. For me, the materials I choose are part of my workflow. They are inseparable from it. Meanings and media I choose are entangled in single cloth.
Thank you. Thank you. Entanglement of different materials is very key word. And I will continue now with the questions from Caterina.
Yes, thank you, Giulio. Hi, Maria and Rebekka. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. So, Maria, how important is mobility in your work? Is there a past travel experience that has been most influential for you and the way you see your work?
I find mobility very important. It is a chance to look at my practice from a different angle. I believe artists should definitely go to residences. This is likely to enrich their working process a lot. For me, the experience with the VIR Viafarini has become a first opinion residency. Previously, I've only been to New York and Los Angeles based residences. During this month and a half in VIR Viafarini, I've redesigned my portfolio. Previously, I could to devote time to research, and I could finish some of my projects, which I cannot finish a long time. It was really important for me that time in Milan. My first residency was Residency Unlimited in New York, and that meant a lot for me too, because for half a year, immersed in a completely different culture, which couldn't but influence my personal practice. It was then that I started making my first concrete sculpture. I showed the project Self-Emptiness in botanical garden. It was 2016, I guess. It's happened. I started working with these materials after my residency in New York. In this project, I explore the body inner expressive potential, searching for equilibrium of the critical and the beautiful. This was the first time when I used materials like concrete and colored polyester resin in my work, dealing with male and female body models. I created unusual fragmented cast of their body, parts of their body. I edited fragments of synthetic materials to these forms to give them a sense of ambivalence, unite deliberately raw materials like concrete with smooth, shiny surface, resulted in subtle metaphorical shapes of the sculpture, confirming and subverting the perfect templates offered by the visual global consumerism culture. That one, there were 4 pieces in the botanical garden, and I showed them the first time after that experience in New York.
Thank you. You said it was not your first time in Italy, but if you want to share with us some insights about your time in Milan, the work you presented on the occasion of the Open Studio, and your interaction with the other artists and the city.
Yes, it wasn't my first time in Italy, but I came to Milan first time for work, and I'm very grateful to the residency for this responsiveness to my all requests and the opportunity to show my work at several spaces. I presented my video Miro like a site-specific installation at the Residence's Open Studio. And then I had a chance to show my work in a completely different space in the Viafarini work. I will show you later. I would like to go into more detail about it. My work, Miro, is a defined view of the human body in the future, as if some kind of catastrophe occurs in our environment and it brings global and predictable changes. I'm considering a situation of a possible future when the human wants to be part of metaverse or part of machine, but become a part of nature, a global reassembly of the collective human body could make it part of the landscape with no other biological species left, only in discrete living matter. I will show exactly the video. Unfortunately, without sound. For this channel, I used a video that I made in one of the national parks of Southern California, the area that was nearly destroyed by wildfire in 2018. Amazingly, one of the tree was burned on the outside completely, but remained alive inside. Some of its burned bark crumbled, and I filled those holes with computer-generated breathing, moving flash. The sound art was created by composer Dario Duarte Nunes from Argentina. He combined together natural sounds and electronic sounds. You asked about Italian artists and our experience with them. My experience with them. I met really interesting artists there. They are amazing, and we exchanged portfolio with some of them, and I recommended some of them to Rebekka. It was a really nice experience for me. And of course, Milan is a beautiful place, and Italians look like people who know how to enjoy the moment and life its throw.
Great, thank you. And these are the exhibition view of the Viafarini workspace, where your work, I have to say, perfectly fit with the surroundings, and really added to the exhibition, of course, but also your presence within the community, that a shared studio program. It's all about sharing the curatorial framework of Viafarini. So you really fit perfectly with your work in our small transient community. And now I invite Rebekka to ask you questions. Rebekka.
Thank you so much, Giulio, and thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this conversation. I met and talked with Maria in another project that I did in the fall here in Copenhagen. That was very much in the same topic of what Maria is researching. So it was called Above the Sky, Beneath the Ground, and it speaks into a sensory experience and ethical approach to our surroundings, especially in this, what you could call maybe a time of transformation or climate change, at least structural changes as well. So Maria, I've experienced this video work of yours that you just presented, and that was shown here in Italy, in Milan, and it's really, really beautiful to see for me, you know, how it was installed, and I really like that raw setting. That looks amazing. So congratulations with that. And so I would like to ask you, which also speaks into what you just explained actually about that specific video work. What is your relationship to, or what do you mean with the human body and the environment as being one ecology? This is something that you also state on your website. But what is this one ecology for you?
In my practice, I research the relationship. For me, is the body of humanity. We are inextricably linked with nature. Each of our everyday choices impact the environment. we need nature because we are part of it. The human body and mind need natural feelings of tasty, surface, and sounds. It seems to me that we experienced this need, and this tie with nature as soon as we had become hostage in our apartments during the pandemic time. I think the human body and environment are one ecology. We are inextricably connected with the global processes of nature and the ecological situation at the moment. Our everyday routines and lifestyle depends of ecological situation directly.
Definitely. Yes. And then I would also like to ask you about what your relationship is. I mean, you touched a little bit upon this actually in the beginning of this conversation, but what is your relationship to body and gender and sex within your practice? Do you have any political alignments or considerations in this context?
I was quite engrossed in the issues when I of the body in our attitude to it, of ourselves perception through the prism of social cliche, and it's changing our attitudes to ourselves. These questions were interesting to me while I was in Moscow. I couldn't not abstract away from the pressures to which the human body was exposed, being fatted in the social framework. I was also concerned about gender stereotyped ideas, standards of female beauty, the notion of a human's looks. I had a series of works covering these topics. Here's a performance I did in 2015. I stand half dressed in a gallery space, and the viewers could write their thoughts about my body on the gallery wall behind me. The collected comments become an abstraction of shapes that resembled a non-objective painting. At the same time, it revealed my intention of sought to uncover the participants' culture assumptions about the female body and check how deeply their notions about an idealized female body could be rooted. I worked with these subjects because I couldn't help but reflected on the situation around me. Body positivity is greatly changing the attitudes towards the body in modern Moscow, modern Russia. But I believe this, I mentioned it, it's happening so slowly and in just major cities. I think as people lack access to information that would help them to change their minds to look at these issues differently. Recently, it happened not so long ago, maybe a couple months ago, Vogue Russia has released a magazine with a body positive model on the cover. It happened first time. Never before it was in Russia. but society wasn't ready for that, and there was a lot of indignation about it. It's strange, but it's still happening. And of course, it happens not only in Russia, but I worked specifically in that context because I'm from Moscow.
But that's really interesting. Thank you for sharing again this last performance. So I'm just a little curious of how your performance was met by the audience.
Met?
Yeah, how did they perceive your performance? Like, were they provoked or?
In Russia, it was. I've got. I had really different experiences with that. In Russia, when I did the performance, I've got really strange comments. Some of them was really rude. Yeah, it's true. And it was so. I was so surprised when I saw when I finished and saw the comments. And after I started doing a work to recover after that performance, I showed that performance not in live, but just documentation in New York and in Berlin with some curators. And I got really interesting feedback because their opinion was completely different than in Russia. It's like, for me, it's like a mirror for society. I'm not sure if I will do this performance in right now. Of course, I will get different experience because people changed and situation changed, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's very interesting to kind of redo it and then see several years later.
Oh, I'm not ready for that.
Okay.
It was so intense.
It was a bit traumatic, maybe.
A little bit. I didn't expect that it will happen with me, but yes, it was.
But I think it's beautiful how you then can kind of make a new work to recover.
Yeah.
And you use your practice in that sense.
Yeah, it was good, really.
That's strong. Yeah. So I feel like, just to finish off my little part here, that it's like you have expanded your notion of the body from being your own personal body to kind of grasping the whole earthly body somehow. And I think that's an interesting development within your practice during the last years, if that's something you can recognize. Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's my last.
I think we're done. It's really good conversation.
Thank you to all of you for sharing. Thank you, of course, to Maria Agureeva for sharing this comprising overview of her practice. And it was truly a pleasure to work with you in Milan and to allow you to be part of our network here. So thank you again. Thanks, many thanks also to Rebekka Elisabeth Anker-Møller and to Caterina Angelucci for their questions and their time with us. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay.